football, or soccer, a German American and a German in America dare to call it foosball. German foosball from an American point of view. Let's add some buns to that hamburger and join them for the Schnitzel Boys Deutschland Hour.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
How
right.
you doing? Hey, guess what?
What's up?
We had an audio malfunction just now.
Really? That never happens.
It never happens.
That's the first one.
I don't know.
That is the first
Again,
time.
I futzed with the settings and I screwed something up. And that whole intro song was in our headphones only. It was not on the broadcast until about a second ago. So it's gonna be like
What a
it's gonna
shame.
go right into Joe Fresh's or whatever.
What a
Anyway,
shame. I mean, people have heard it before. Let's be honest.
if you want to hear the intro, go a couple.
Should we just play it again? No.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's all good.
happy inauguration day, MLK Junior Day for those who celebrate either
Martin Luther Tag.
Martin Luther
Tag.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther König.
Martin Luther König Jr.
MLK, the great American named after the great German, Martin Luther. Although, was Martin Luther that great? This is a controversial take. Can we start with hot takes?
I mean, what's wrong with Martin Luther?
Well, a big part of the religious movement.
Catholic Church, however, I guess the Catholic Church feels that way, I suppose.
Yeah, but so do scientists. He was a big favor of burning Johannes Kepler alive because he thought he was the devil because Kepler invented looking at the stars.
Yeah, that is true.
And Martin Luther is like, I forgot what he said, but there's a very famous quote where he said, like, Martin Luther is showing us lies or something, And I'm like, okay, Martin Luther, I guess, everything in zeitgeist, everything in context. I guess it's important that Martin Luther nailed the 500 proclamations on the door of the church.
Was it that many?
I don't know, but he started. So the whole point of Martin Luther is he took power away from the Catholic Church.
He started the Protestants,
the Lutherans. Martin Luther. Yeah. So that's why. However, science was also around at the same time. Science I like Johannes Kepler, who invented the telescope, or not. He didn't invent the telescope. Something like that.
The printing press. I mean, the printing press enabled. Well, that enabled Martin Luther to distribute his translated Bible.
There you go.
So without the printing press, so he liked some technology. He liked some technology, but not others, I guess. Not super
those
consistent.
Who granted him power.
This is often the case, right?
But he didn't like technology that disproved his power, which is what Johannes Kepler was doing.
If I had known that we were going to talk about on Martin Luther King on MLK Day, I would have read up on him. I would have offered some takes. I just kind of don't have much of an opinion on the man.
Well, if you do, email us schnitzelboyspod@gmail.com. If you're a Protestant, you're angry and have something to say, please, I'm all ears.
This was all a long time ago.
Send it in. It was a long time ago. That's true. Yeah, but tell it to the poor scientists.
In my grandparents' even in my parents' generation, these were still real things. Like my family's Catholic, and like marrying a Protestant, that was not going to be a thing. Like impossible. Yeah. So these are even though this was a long time ago, it was still very real. Not too long ago, certainly in my family.
No, it's
and I did in the end marry a Catholic woman. So not that was ever consciously something that I was looking for, but
did you grow up Lutheran?
No, I grew up Catholic.
Oh, so you're Catholic.
So I grew
up Catholic.
I'm saying, even though this was not something that I was consciously important to me, I did conform still to that.
Was subconsciously important.
Maybe, I don't know. I can't rule it out.
Well, my mother grew up. Maybe I get this wrong. My mother, I think, was one of 2 Catholic kids at her public school in a Lutheran town. Because my grandmother was Lutheran and my grandfather was Catholic, something like that. My grandparents were mixed matched, one Catholic, one Lutheran.
Oh, okay.
My grandfather went to very unusual. My grandfather went to a separate church. He went to his own church. My grandmother went to another church. And then my mom was one of 2 kids and she said that her and the other Catholic kid had a free hour because all the Lutheran kids had to do some
Oh
sort of
yeah, you have to
Lutheran
do
hour.
religious education. Yeah, yeah. And they
Yeah,
didn't have
yeah, and
enough
then
Catholics
yeah,
in my school. I'm from the Ruhrgebiet, so the middle of the country. So it was pretty 50-50. The north is more Protestant traditionally, the south is more Catholic, right? Is that
well, my
mostly true?
Ruhrgebiet family was German and Jewish, but excuse me, was Catholic and Jewish, but mainly Catholic.
Mhm.
And they're from the Ruhrgebiet as well. And then my mom is from up north, north of Hamburg, and
Okay,
I
so
guess
that's
that's
where
probably
it was
more
mostly
Lutheran.
Protestants. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's more Protestant.
And so in my school, it was pretty 50-50, and we split up. We were split up um, for religion. There was a subject, religion, and you'd have a Catholic and a Protestant
Well, my mom's school, they
class.
only had 2 Catholics, and they just weren't
Right.
giving a
So they didn't
class.
have it. They wouldn't put them
They
up.
got free hour.
They just had the free hour, and you could, also. Um, I think at age 13, you were allowed to opt out. You could just decide to not be religious anymore. You had religious freedom at age 13. So some
Right?
kids would then just like opt out and they would have free hour too. They didn't have a
That
secular class.
I
So it
imagine
was
nowadays that's gotta be everybody, right? I that's 13's a good age because that's about the age I opted out of religion in my
uh-huh.
life because
Yeah.
I was a religious little boy up until then. I was raised Catholic because my
I
parents made the
wasn't
choice to
I
be
was an
Catholic.
altar boy. I was an altar boy for a while.
I didn't go that far, but I was in CCD, which was an after school program. So I wasn't a full time Catholic school when I say that, but I did an after school Catholic school, kind of part time Catholic school,
Mm.
and I was supposed to get reformed to get a Catholic middle name, but I ended up leaving the country before that happened, and then we never followed up on that. And then yeah, when I was eighth grade, I was thinking about it, and I'm just like, oh, it's not really part of my life. And then I opted
Right.
out, as it were. Opted out, as it were.
Well, to be honest, the my main, and this brings us back to our podcast topic. The main reason I was an altar boy is because they had a soccer team, and
Hey,
uh, and there were some of my funnest soccer memories or biggest successes really as a kid, because I was not, certainly by German standards, I was a highly mediocre player. I never had any, there was never
intensely mediocre.
any thought of, I mean, I played all my life, but there was never any thought of like me having any kind of special talent or whatever. But on the altar boy soccer team, I was definitely one of the better players. And so that I've had some there was an annual for the annual Fahrfest. I don't even know how to translate. The church had an annual festival, like a weekend where there was some booths outside. There was some partying and drinking, and on the Saturday before, there was a soccer game, and it was the young guys against the old guys.
All altar boys?
And the altar boys basically were the young team,
And the
and
priests were
those
the
were
old people.
fierce matches. And if we
Who were the
won,
old
those were
guys?
big.
Was it
The
altar
old
boys
guys were
versus
like,
priests?
adults. They were like the slightly over the hill, like the mid 30, dad generation. And those were competitive. And it
That's
was
nice.
like, and it was 11v11, which is, I rarely played on a full size field. Most of my soccer playing was on smaller, pitches, like 5 on
Me
5.
too. Yeah.
And so these were big events, like to have a full field 11-11. There was an audience, the whole uh, um, congregation would show up. There would be some beers, and people were hanging out. So it
Oh
was a
yeah,
big event, and those
you
were
slide
those were
you slide
yeah.
tackled the 90-year-old priest and broke his hip, right? And that was a big hit. You're like,
He was
yeah,
not.
you were the only one
He
cheering.
did not participate, but he certainly watched. And if you
And he
score,
looked at
if you
you,
scored a good goal.
he looked at you, he's like, Bjorn, I condemn you to hell. I condemn you to hell. For the rest of your days, you're a sinner. And you're just like, hey man, fair game, fair ball, dude. 50-50.
That would have been harsh. But anyway,
Well,
so that was
I remember you telling me about beating the local British kids at the British Army
oh
Barracks.
yeah, that was with the school team. True.
Yeah.
That's another thing that happened. Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was the
Brits always
biggest.
lose in
That
that.
was the number one. That was my number one soccer moment when that
As
was the goalie and we won in penalties
there's
against the
nothing more
British
German.
kids.
There's nothing more German. That should be looking back. That's gonna be your most German moment as a German man or a child at the time to beat a bunch of British kids in a soccer match at penalties. I mean, there's nothing
I
more
mean,
German than that. That's a German
it
pride, right?
doesn't get any better than that. That is a, like top 5 lifetime moment for sure. Maybe
That's
top
when you
3. I don't know,
schnitzelfied.
depending
That's
on
when you
what you count.
schnitzelfied. Schnitzelfied. Very good. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So there we
But we
are.
had. Here we are. I mean, I can talk MLK Day, special Monday. There's nothing else going on as far as I know. I got we had, but since we've last spoken to you all, first thing I want to say, I'm sorry. We still have audio whippy woppy. It might have been a little metallic last week. We're gonna try to repair that. If you wanted to listen to last week's episode with better quality, I'll try to get a better quality one out to you as soon as possible. So that's A. B. Since we've last spoken to you, there have been 2 rounds of the Bundesliga. Match day 16 and match day 17, right? No, or was it 17 and 18? I believe it was 17 and 18.
17 and 18, that is correct.
So we're now officially 1 round past the halfway point, and we have begun over the weekend the Rückrunde.
Rückrunde, or how Derek Ray would say, die Rückrunde.
Oi, when I was wee, the Rückrunde. I love the Scottish German. I'm the Highlander, and I spreche Deutsch.
So
Highlander Deutsch is what we call that. I think is what I'm going to call it.
He speaks so much Deutsch.
Yeah. But we had week 17 and week 18. Week 17, VfL Bochum beat St. Pauli 1-0.
Yeah, right. That was a game only a true Bochum fan could have loved, because that was a slugfest. But we had one moment of quality where Gerhard Holtmann crossed it to Hoffmann, and he side-footed it. Beautiful.
Hoffmann?
Holtmann to Hoffmann.
Oh, Holtmann to Hoffmann. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then what happened the next game?
And then even more miraculously, we fell behind 3-0 early against RB Leipzig. And I turned off. I was like, this is, of course, we're back to normal. That was just a fluke. And I turned it off. I watched a Goal. What is that? Whatever that show called. Goal Arena. Goal Arena, which was very entertaining, by the way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
didn't have to switch. It kept cutting back, right?
Kept cutting back. Myron Boadu got a hat trick. That has not happened for Bochum. There's not a lot of, as one might suspect, there's not a ton of hat tricks scored in the VfL Bochum history. This had not happened in 16 years that somebody scored 3 goals. And then again, as we've talked about before, in Germany, there's this distinction made between the hat trick that's pure, meaning like it's really 3 goals in a row, and that hasn't happened since 1987 in the case of Bochum. Yeah, so this is a big deal. And so got a 3-3, and even though it got a little tight and nervy at the end, Leipzig had some chances, and I thought we might lose, but we held on. And I mean, that in a way felt better than this St. Pauli, because that was really must win, and it was an ugly game, and they prevailed, and that was good. But this time, I mean, there was some real life to the team. It was kind of I mean, again, I don't want to get too, but I texted the group chat that calling Dieter Hecking the miracle owl. I mean, because he has that, the oil is his nickname, because he kind of looks like one. And I mean, he has really found some solutions. He's sort of reintegrated Gerhard Holtmann, who has a lot of speed. He always was one of the fastest players in the Bundesliga, but he was really lacking quality, often sort of frustratingly. But he's back, and he's kind of helping, creating some danger on the side. He had a pretty good chance against St. Pauli that he missed, and so he's not a super efficient scorer, but he at least brings some life to it. Dieter Hecking, he criticized Boadu harshly publicly. He said he needs to show more in training, and he has to apply himself. aus der Hüfte kommen. Er muss mal aus den Pushen kommen. He has to,
Mhm.
like, put his back into it.
Right.
So,
And he did
and
then.
so I guess, and he did. He scored a hat trick. So, I mean, and we haven't. There hasn't been any transfers. Uh, um, St. Pauli brought in Jimmy Sands. Everybody else is getting MLS players. Holstein Kiel brought in John Tolkien on a record transfer, 3 million euros.
From Kiel. The whole city of Kiel had to pitch in for that.
This
But
is
let's go back. Hold on. Let's go back to what was that guy's name on Bochum? Manfred. What was his name? Boadi?
Boadu. Yes.
Boadu.
From
He's
is that
gonna
it?
score a hat trick, and he's like, that'll shut him up, and he'll just go back to half-assing it again.
Well, I don't know. He was very. It was very.
Well, good on Dieter Hecking. Dieter Hecking was a really
it was
good.
very moving. Like the guy really was clearly. I mean, they were chanting his name, and this had
Yeah.
not happened to him. So this was a big. This is a
Here in
big moment. So
America-
I hope he won't. I hope he won't go back to his old ways, and that this is going to be. But anyway, what I was going to say, no transfers, no new players, but Hecking's getting more out of this really underpowered squad, and
he was a great.
I mean,
hire.
in between this and the St. Pauli win and the 3 points that are not quite yet official from the lighter gate. We're not in last place, not in last place anymore. We're ahead of Kiel now, and only a couple points behind from the relegation playoffs. So it's the hope is alive in Bochum. And I really am I didn't think that was going to happen. I mean, I was worried, are we going to break Tasmania Berlin's record for a worst team ever? I thought that was a possibility.
You are 1 point more. You have 1 point more.
Unless, even before the thing, yeah.
Unless, of course, the appeal doesn't come through, and then I guess, or are they still waiting to add?
No.
Points?
We have 10. We have 10 minus the appeal. We have 12 with the appeal.
So you have 2 phantom points.
We have 2. I think no one has really, except FOTMOP, the app that I use on my phone. They've already given us the 2 points, but everybody else, the official tables all show us with 10. So this is not official.
When you look at your checking account and there's a little pending column, like debit hold or
That's
pending
right.
hold. You have to wait. The Bochum checking account has this 2 point.
We've got 2 points pending. Yeah, we got 2 points pending.
Just waiting.
And it's not going to be until February that we're going to find out.
Well, okay. So Dieter Hecking was a great hire because, especially in the Bundesliga loves a new young coach in his puffy little jacket, his jeans. They're usually bald or at least don't have a lot of hair. That's like the profile. It's either some new guy they got who was a youth coach or he coached for half a season in Belgium or something. However, Bochum is like, no, we're going vet. We're going to get Dieter Hecking. We're going to pull him out of retirement, the old owl. We're going to get him on there. And I think it's a great hire. I believe there's another team in the Ruhrgebiet that could and should do the same thing. And that team is called Borussia Dortmund. Well, just get a vet.
Oh.
Borussia Dortmund over the weekend lost 4-2 to Holstein Kiel, which is bonkers.
During the week,
On the weekend. Or no, during the week.
No, that was right.
And then over the weekend, they lost to Eintracht Frankfurt 2-0. And that's not a fluke. Eintracht Frankfurt is the stronger team. I think they're 2 goals stronger. Yeah, so that was kind of expected. And it's like Borussia Dortmund's in 10th place. They had a big spending summer. They renovated their board. Old man Watzke is gone. He was a little more conservative with their money. And they went and they bought players. They bought Pascal Gross. They bought Maximilian Bayer. They bought Waldemar Anton. They did the Bayern München thing. They went all over Germany and bought the best they can get their hands on and splashed some cash. Yeah. And then they put some rookie coach up top. And I don't know how much longer that guy's going to get. I think he's up for the chopping block tomorrow when they play.
Kicker thinks it's tomorrow. It's Bologna, no? Dortmund?
Oh yeah, Bologna. I think Stuttgart is sorry.
Yeah. Stuttgart on the road at Bratislava. Yeah, exactly.
And Bologna, no pushovers. And if I'm not mistaken, Dortmund has done well at the Champions League, right?
They have done well, and they actually could basically qualify, I think, officially if they were to win this game. So he has a chance, to redeem. I mean, I don't know about
Does
redeem
he?
himself, but at least buy himself a few a little bit more time tomorrow. But yeah, if they lose tomorrow, that's probably it. Like I'm surprised. I guess it's a quick turnaround. They can't
I
fire him on
think if they
Monday.
win tomorrow, but then lose over the weekend, that's it too, right? I mean, you can't lose 3 Bundesliga games in a row.
Hard to say. Yeah, I mean,
So
it's not good. It's not. They haven't looked at. I mean, they've had some problems with injuries and illness. They came out of the winter break with their entire back line, I guess, sick or out. And so that's not his fault, but yeah, it hasn't looked good. And they've just been weirdly disinterested looking, there's been a lot of just a lack of oomph.
well, maybe he doesn't have the
And
locker room, right? So anyway, you look at someone like a Ralf Hasenhuttl at Wolfsburg, or what's his face, that Swiss guy who's still out and about, Uli, former Union Berlin coach,
well, Urs Fischer, yeah.
Urs Fischer. I think he's still around. I mean, with Borussia Dortmund, if you have all these players and spend some cash, you need to get your hands on a veteran coach who do it.
Yeah, Roger Schmidt is
Schmidt.
available. He's yeah, those are all names being kicked around.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
this
that's
cannot
gonna happen. So,
this can't go on much longer. Because 10th place is crazy for them. Edin Terzic looks like a genius in comparison.
yeah, and I
I
wasn't.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I wasn't the biggest fan of Edin Terzic, but yeah, but Nuri Sahan makes Edin Terzic look like, exactly like you said, genius. And I think you got to go in the other direction. And I mean, my opinion is they should never have gotten rid of Marco Rose. Although Marco Rose's work in Leipzig isn't necessarily stuff to cry home about, because RB Leipzig's also not super duper. I mean, they're just tied against Bochum.
No, they're
I
not.
know.
Hey, yeah, okay. Well,
And they lost over the weekend against Stuttgart, I believe, right? Or was it? Yeah.
yeah, which that no, they lost
They lose
during the week, you mean?
during the week. Sorry, I get it mixed up. The midweek game last week, they lost to Stuttgart.
Midweek game, they lost at Stuttgart. Yes, you're right. You are correct.
Yeah,
and
that's
big. That's big for Stuttgart because I kind of had written them off, but they've been
fourth.
And they're in fourth. We have to see now. Frankfurt shipped their goal-getter Knipse Omar Darmouche off to City, and so we'll see. That's obviously going to impact them, and they're not going to replace them immediately. So, dollars, euros, pounds.
Still a Frankfurt player. Let's see him.
I don't think it's been announced, but they kept him out of the game.
Okay. It's happening now.
Presumably,
Okay.
presumably for this reason. Yeah, I don't think they've. Yeah, I don't think it's been officially announced, but I think that's what's
Here's
happening.
a fun fact about Omar Mamouche. Besides Egyptianship, what
Don't know.
Canada?
Oh,
He's a Canadian
but
citizen.
he's played for Egypt, right? He's
an Egyptian national team player, but still,
they would take him for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
oh yeah.
Is he gonna? I was asked this. Is he gonna? I'm a little skeptical of this move to City. I don't know. We'll see how. I mean, we talked a little bit about it last time, right? Is he gonna set the world on fire? We will see. There's not the Bundesliga
You never know.
transfers. Bundesliga transfers to the Prem have not done super well lately.
Well, I'm going to go you one step further. We've talked about this before. I mean, he could be great. Who knows? Manchester City's in a really weird, like he's going to a really toxic environment because Manchester City is really toxic right now. They finally had a win over the weekend, I think. Erling Haaland just signed a 9.5-year record contract.
Yeah, I don't know why you say toxic.
Well, those are, I guess, unrelated stories, but maybe they're related. Who knows? Well, but Manchester City's on a terrible losing skid, haven't they? Been losing and losing and losing.
They have been.
But anywho,
yeah, they've been in a slump for sure. But I don't know.
Going to that. And yeah, maybe he'll be just a squad player. Like at a place like Frankfurt's got real value. And a place like Manchester City is just one of 30 world-class players that cost millions of dollars. So he'll be a squad player maybe at best. But, going back to kind of what we touched on earlier, we have 2 Americans joining the Bundesliga recently, and that is a lot of fun for you and I think Americans and maybe even
Mhm.
Germans. We have one John Tolkien who's joining the boys over to Holstein Kiel. He was
Yeah.
not involved in their 4-2 victory over Dortmund.
He
I don't
was
believe.
on the
He still
bench
gets-
though. He was in the squad. He was sitting.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was sitting on the bench. Yeah.
So he was there in
didn't
spirit. So maybe
he
he
didn't
was.
get any
Maybe it
time.
was
He didn't get
the
any
boost.
time, but
Maybe it was the boost they needed, the spirit of John Tolkien, who has a very positive
well, they
spirit.
lost. They lost badly at home. So his spirit
Oh,
didn't help.
I'm sorry. Again, I'm mixing it up. We're talking about 4-2 against Dortmund. Over
Oh,
the
right.
weekend,
That
what
was
happened?
pre-Tolkien. Yeah, when Tolkien
Yeah, it
showed
was
up, they
pre-Tolkien.
lost to Hoffenheim at home, 1-3. Yeah, in a pretty.
I think they were all confused. He had
not
to
a good-
apologize. The club was asked about his social media activity, and they lost 3-1. Hoffenheim got rid of Pellegrino Matarazzo. Their skid has not stopped. Pellegrino Matarazzo was not the problem. But they had a good victory over Holstein Kiel. I think Holstein Kiel is a little just really like anti-trans, flat earth.
But this was all old. Yeah.
Also,
so
it's
he's a
what
bit
he
of a
likes.
knucklehead.
I didn't even know there's a record of that. Like he got in trouble for liking things.
Oh yeah, you
mean,
can see
but-
what anybody likes on Twitter or X.
But sure, he apologized. Are the dumbest people in the world. Like don't. They're built specifically to be stupid. Their bodies. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just the reality of it. It's not like we're going.
I don't. I mean,
They're outside all day. They're in the sun.
I've-
They just like to run. It's not like they're thinking. It's not like they just finished reading War and Peace before practice. You know what I mean? They're really just out there running like in the sun.
I have a-
I mean, that's just my opinion on most athletes. They're not all stupid, honestly.
Okay.
But
Well, I don't think we necessarily should pick athletes as our role models, but I think my take is that athletes are people who are good at a sport or whatever, but otherwise that's
Yeah,
like their one thing. Anything else in common necessarily, they're just a cross section of the population otherwise. So you'll find all political persuasions, all levels of intelligence, and
and former
John
U.S.
Tolkien is one of those.
soccer player, former U.S. professor. He's a doctor now. He's smart.
Right. Andres Jason contract at NYCFC. No, there's plenty of smart,
Danny
plenty
Sepro,
of smart people
famous,
around.
Danny Sepro, famous Red Bulls goalkeeper. He scored a goal from the goal line. You have to be real smart to do that, I guess. But I'm not saying they're all obviously.
So there are lots
However,
of smart athletes, but John Tolkien is not one of them.
It goes, I have to say, about a lot of things. If they're good at acting, that's great. That's what we want to be. If they're good at soccer, that's what we want to be. Being good at soccer doesn't mean you also have to be really, really good at understanding the human genome of when Neil deGrasse Tyson starts liking flat Earth posts, then I'm more concerned about that. He's literally a science communicator. And I'm like, well, if he believes that I am.
Somebody was making a joke on Twitter about how John Tolkien was on the plane to Europe and he saw the curvature of the Earth and
yeah, he's like, I can't play anymore. But anyway, with that aside, also, if you don't speak German, that's the thing in Germany, knock out, right? Doesn't that seem to be the case? Like, we always celebrate transfers, but more times than not, they're disappointments.
oftentimes, I mean, I was thinking that too. like, this is their record. I mean, this also says something about Holstein Kiel's finances. Like 3 million euros is their all-time record transfer, which is more than Bochum. They had a kicker that had a list of every club's record transfer, and I think Bochum was like 1.8 million or whatever for a transfer fee. They don't pay transfers anyway.
However,
would you like, you're like, and it's like, oh, I know. Let's put all our money together, get John Tolkien, and like, I don't know. It's
an unproven left back,
like,
or not unproven, but like,
I wonder how that's going to go.
A guy who's, well, then let me ask you: do you consider the guy who's like left back of the year from the Belgian league to be a vastly more superior league than a guy who's left back of the year?
No, I think that I don't think. No, I don't think in general. I mean, I would say.
And wouldn't that buy a hot up and comer from Belgium or Holland or something like that, or maybe up from Scandinavia?
Well, I guess my counter argument to that would be that I think the league is not necessarily better, but I think it's culturally a little.
You just have to hop on the train and go. Yeah, I know. That part is true.
So,
towns look the same. I mean, yeah, I know. Holstein Kiel can't buy Barcelona's bench form. They can't afford it. Right. They have to get creative.
Yeah, I mean, 3 million is not a lot of money. Like that's also what that means. It's not like to come help out
two choices
in this relegation battle.
Two choices. They have to wait for people to be on a free, and people on a free for a reason. That's A, or B. They have to get creative, try to take a risk, and buy a guy who could maybe, buy an up and comer who could make an impact.
Yeah,
those are sort of two options.
And I would always say from Tolkien's perspective, that's what you want as an MLS player. You want somebody to make a commitment. You want some, as opposed to the Jimmy Sand scenario where it's a loan deal. So less of an investment on the team's part, and so I think that's something that I wouldn't always recommend. In the case of Rangers, it didn't work at all. In the case of St. Pauli, so far so good. They gave on, and you gotta start against and they got a big St. Pauli got a big road win at Heidenheim, another Keller duel, as we like to call them, and it was very dramatic. St. Pauli had a lead, one presumably equalized, and then after long review, there was a build-up offside detected by VAR, and the goal was called back, and then literally in the next phase, St. Pauli scored the second one. So it was that game hinged. Sands was already out. He had played 70 plus minutes.
That's a good.
And got a good start and got a shutout. I mean, he's not a flashy guy. He's also he would be in preseason. He's
rating. Let me check his rating here.
His rating? What rating?
Like FootMob or whatever.
The FootMob rating?
Yeah, how he did.
Oh yeah, I didn't look it up. Yeah, I mean, I think despite my initial skepticism of that move, I think him getting a start 3 games in is a great sign. And this St. Pauli team has some zip to it.
You got a 7.1.
That's pretty good.
It's one of the lower, like it's right in the middle there. The highest was guy Nikola Vasily, he got 7.8. Johannes Egershavogi, 7.7. Yeah, we're just 7. And there's plenty of sixes and a couple fives. He wasn't any of those. So he was in the upper third of the ratings of the game with a start. So there you go. But like you said, it's alone. CFC. Yeah, where John Tolka when they get relegated. He's there. He's Bundesliga 2
Right.
next
They,
year.
they,
Wherever
they
he's
bought
going,
him.
where he's
Yeah, they
going.
bought him. So he's
Yeah.
there to stay. But that wouldn't be the end of the world for him if he played in Bundesliga 2.
Oh no, not at all. Even from Tolka, I meant for Sands. Yeah, for both of them. Yeah, there is this weird shows you how much his stock has dropped. What's the name of that guy? The American kid who scored a hat trick for Shaw.
Oh, Matthew Hoppe. Yeah, he's
Matthew Hoppe.
yeah, he's
I was gonna say you had
right? I just read something. He just got cut. So now he's looking for a team. Hold on. Yeah, you keep talking.
Matthew Hoppe and what's his Brandon Aronson and Redhead Championship. What's his name?
Josh Sark.
Norwich. I forgot his name. Josh. Leeds was sunk, and when Schalke was sunk, they bent over backwards to go find another top flight club somewhere. And it's like, guys, just go to like your level, go down the second division championship, which is his level, right? He's a second division player. Is doing well, so I'm glad he found his spot. Brandon Aronson, same thing.
Yeah,
he's
he's
Leeds
good
right now in the championship, doing his thing. He's doing his thing. I think with Southampton, they wouldn't play him. Then he went to San Jose.
Middlesbrough, and then Middlesbrough, and then they loaned him out, and now he's a free agent. He's looking for a team.
But there is a value. I never understood, like, there is a value to knowing your team, knowing your teammates, knowing your city. Like, if Josh Sargent never left Bremen, maybe he would have found his confidence in Bundesliga 2, and he'd be a top-flight Bundesliga goal scorer right now, as opposed to a championship goal scorer at Norwich. Maybe. The people are addicted to sticking in the top flight. There's nothing wrong with going on the second division with your team and then coming up from there. Now, granted, it goes both ways. There's that one guy who left MLS. Was it George Bello, right? He left MLS, and before you know, he's on the bench in the third division. It's like, well, that's bad.
But he wasn't. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't playing much anyway.
Yeah, but that's also part of the thing. For John Tolkien, he's ready to go. He was MLS left back last season, and we'll see. Maybe his mind was already off to Europe. We'll see. But it's time. It's like, now go challenge yourself in Europe. If he falls, if Holstein Kiel's same. But the other part of all that is you think of Ricardo Pepi, right?
Yeah.
Who went to Augsburg.
Yeah,
for $20 million.
Really big money. He's the biggest. He was on the list, on that list that I told you about. He's definitely Augsburg's biggest transfer ever.
Really financially good move for Augsburg. They ended up making that plus way more of that money back because they had a $10 million from the club, $10 million from the private investor. He flunked terribly at Augsburg, right? It was a total bust. But then he was loaned in Holland, where he got we did really well with Groningen. Then he was with PSV, and he's doing great. He's crushing at PSV, and PSV in general is such a director, and they're crushing. They're like crushing in Holland, and they're doing pretty well in Champions League. And from what I understand, I think the sale, I don't know the specifics of it, but I think if they sell, then Augsburg get a little bit of a profit out of Ricardo Pepi. So you'd think that's like a financial bust, but there's other ways for these clubs, like a Holstein, you think it could be a financial bust if they relegate, but if they then loan him to Holland or maybe some to a Dutch club next year, where if that were to be the case, then financially they'd still be out of. There's financial windfalls and financial protections for these clubs. Is sort of what my point is. So maybe it's less of a risk than you think, which is a good thing for MLS players because it lets you make money on loaning them off to Holland or Belgium or something like that. There you
All
go.
right. Well, anyway, these two will be interesting to watch how they do in this new environment, the relegation battle. That's not a thing that MLS
Nope.
prepares you for in
Nope.
any possible.
And if you are a bottom feeder club in MLS, you sort of can just take off. You have to show up to the games. Obviously, they pay you for that, but you know,
You still have to. You gotta come to work, but you don't have to worry
maybe
too
I'll
much.
come back here next year. Now, like I said, we don't see much of this anymore. Now we see two examples, and MLS being the next. And I love it. It's very old school, and I wish.
Miguel Almiron is coming back.
Where is he? Where is he going to Atlanta? Where is he going?
He's going back to Atlanta, supposedly. This is also getting close to official, but not official.
Sure. He had a great time in Atlanta. I mean, he crushed it in Atlanta. His time in England, he was the example of what MLS's future was supposed to be. Like wedge yourself in between South America and Europe. And Miguel Almiron was a good example of that. We'll buy him plus their sell-ons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the Ricardo Pepi thing is. He's full of sell-ons. So whenever he moves on, Augsburg keeps getting a cut off of him.
Right.
But he was criticized. Yeah, he was criticized at Newcastle. I thought he was fine. I don't follow Newcastle so hard.
Well, he was a. I mean, if you want
on and off, I think, right?
If you want to start with the positive. He was a lockdown starter for 2+ seasons on a pretty good Prem team. Yeah. And then it took him a little while, and now he is no longer starting, and that's why he's. But I mean, it's not if you call him a bust, that would be harsh. I thought he did pretty well.
The Newcastle fans, I think, were hard on him. But also, if I'm Miguel Almiron, I'm like, go to Spain or something. Go to Portugal. I mean, you don't have to go back to MLS. But maybe he had a blast. I mean, maybe he liked Atlanta. Maybe he liked American life. Maybe he liked his American paycheck.
The Premier League is tough. And there just aren't that many. In general, you don't see a lot of people who are not children, who are not teenagers, let's say. Like right. There's of course the Alphonso Davies who went to Bayern when he was like 18, or John Duran, he plays for Aston Villa, he came from Chicago, he was 18. But anybody older than that, there's very few in the Premier League. Who's there? There's Almiron, there's Tyler Adams. That's kind of it.
From
right?
MLS. And Tyler Adams came from the Bundesliga.
And Jack Harrison.
Right. And those are kind of exceptions.
Oh, and Tyler Adams. You're right. Tyler Adams went to the Prem via Bundesliga. That's a good point. Yeah.
And Jack Harrison is English. Jack Harrison is English, so there's like a
but he is a legit.
I know, but there's
but he was an
English passport. He has an English passport, so that helps him out a little bit too.
Okay.
But sure. Miguel Almiron was 21, wasn't he? He wasn't a teenager. Was he like 20, 21?
That's what I'm saying. There's, it's very easy. And now you hear people, oh, another bus. It's like he did pretty well, and this is not like it's not a road well paved, So I think he deserves some credit.
Also, if I'm Miguel Almiron, like most of the Bundesliga clubs will grab him, and he'd probably do well in the Bundesliga. Wouldn't a Wolfsburg grab a Miguel Almiron?
Probably, yeah.
And so but like I said, him coming back to MLS is probably him enjoying his time in MLS. He wants to come back. Good for him. Maybe this is the whole league of choice, one for the win column in the league of choice nonsense that Don Garber keeps spewing. Miguel Almiron has
I mean,
chosen MLS. It's a league of choice for him. So
Atlanta's
good on him.
just they just got a lot of money. They had some big sales and they're spending. I mean, I definitely if we want to transition to a little MLS talk here, the East is getting pretty strong. And
Yeah, the New York Rebels are still in it. That's, I mean, all you need to know, really. I mean, they're going to be bulldozed. They're going to be bulldozing through the boys. Well,
okay.
Inter Miami went to Club America. I didn't see, and Leo Messi flipped them all off or something. Didn't flip them off, but he taunted all of them, and I think he scored the winning goal. I should have caught highlights of that.
Yeah.
Did you? I should have.
Yeah,
Probably in front of a big crowd, right?
he had a special celebration. Yes.
But Inter Miami will be interesting under their no experienced coach.
Yeah, Javier
Um,
Mascherano, who I always loved as a player. But
maybe
you
he's the
know,
next
yeah,
Xavi Alonso.
he's
We'll
a
see.
new he's definitely new as a coach, so we'll see. I mean, what is there to coach on that team? I mean, it's like give the ball to Messi and defend.
Yeah, I know there's no coach, but I'm not super plugged into MLS right now because I like to give it a few weeks. You know, I know my New York Rebels doing a lot, but the biggest here's the big talking point.
Wilfried Zaha is coming to Charlotte.
Oh, that's not the big talking point, but that's amazing. Good for them. Charlotte can buy as many forwards as they want. That's not the players they need. They keep buying forwards, but good for them. Good for Charlotte. The rumor mill, which I think doesn't have a lot of smoke to it, is Neymar to Chicago Fire.
That's dead. It's dead.
Yeah, it better be. How about this though?
Already that was never alive. But yeah, what
last I heard, which I think is exactly correct, is he wants to go back to Santos, his hometown club.
Yeah, I think that
makes total sense.
Yeah,
I think that makes total sense. He needs to go back to where he feels comfortable. He never really loved leaving Brazil. I think is pretty obvious to see because he always found a way back. Like he was there 6 months out of the year, every year of his career, even when he was playing in Paris or whatever. So he's back there. Good for him. Maybe it'll focus him. He can get fit again. He's a little overweight and stuff. But let's pretend he does go to Chicago Fire or MLS.
Okay, sure.
Tell me, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. It's like, I think, what does he have left? He's had a lot of injuries. He's missed a ton of time.
Would he even play? That's my question. Would he just be injured for 6 to 9 months?
I mean, it's hard. It's possible, but like, yeah, I think that's, and certainly not like, it's not. I mean, you know, I'm not as anti Berhalter as some, but like it's not. It doesn't strike you as the kind of environment where you would think, oh, he's going to really give it all. Yeah, like he's gonna pull it all together one last time for this,
or listen to any of Berhalter's coaching
project. Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, I mean, okay, I know we're pretending and that's cool, but this was like one of those. Like this was never going to happen. I mean, the financial. I mean, he was like making 90 million or something in his Saudi contract, and it's like you can't.
They're already over it. They're trying to get
people, and then people were saying, well, he's looking for a deal like Messi. You should not. They cannot give him that kind of money. That'd be totally irresponsible. Like he's not on that level. And he hasn't been, and so that would have been crazy. It's like it's a sort of a non-starter. The economics of it just can't work.
Yeah, I mean they're signing him from Saudi Arabia. They're not signing him from Barcelona, and in Saudi Arabia only played 2 games in the last year or something because he's very
injured. But still he's not going to come. He's not going to come for a TAM deal, you know. Like it's not like
it's definitely DP, and maybe there's a little bit of a cut. Like if I were to sign Neymar, I'd sign him to a reasonable DP deal somehow, and I'd give him a cut of all the Brazilian Apple numbers, that kind of thing. Like do some sort of a thing related to Brazil, not necessarily a global cut like Leo Messi, but some sort of deal because he does deserve that. He does have his followers, and that is really the point. Kind of like when you hire a movie star, like if certain movie stars have a following, they get a cut of the gross. So Neymar, like for me, you give him $10 million a year base salary, and then 10% or 20% of all the Brazilian Apple TV
the Brazilian Apple, new Brazilian Apple TVs,
subs, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, that sounds good. But apparently, it was not whatever whatever talks they had, it never went very far, and now he's going
Also,
to
why
some.
would Neymar go to Chicago? Like of all, like I thought, like he just want to go to Miami to play
Yeah,
with his boys.
I think he wanted to. I think that would have been a real possibility,
Maybe
but
Orlando, but like
Mascherano kind of shut that down quickly, and they were
uh,
like, "Yeah, we can't. We don't have. We've already stretched the MLS rules
here's a
paper
okay.
thin, so we can't do another one of those."
He would probably okay. Let's see here. I'm trying to think how big of a hit he would be here in LA. I wonder if he would. He would definitely move the needle some, but I don't know. I'm trying to think how much he'd move the needle. He might move. LA is a good soccer town, so he would move the needle quite a bit here. I think in New York he would move the needle a little more with the community, especially like the New York Red Bulls play in a really heavy Portuguese community, and they've never had
Right,
like.
right.
I'm always curious how Cristiano Ronaldo would like if let's pretend Cristiano Ronaldo would have gone to the New York Red
Mm,
Bulls. If they could have
mhm.
maybe even moved to MetLife or something, like that would have been a thing they could have done. I doubt it, but I wonder if Neymar would have that same effect in New Jersey. I don't know if he'd have an effect in New York. He probably would because he is Neymar.
Yeah, maybe
Brazilians in New York. Like if Neymar went to NYCFC, do you think they would pack the Yankee Stadium week in and week out?
every time. I don't think. I would say no.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think it would move the needle some, but not a lot. I think, or it would move it some, but not
Yeah,
as
I mean,
much
I
as
think
definitely Leo Messi or something.
at this point, he also hasn't shown it, like he's just not uh I mean, he's obviously very talented, and he's had some stretches of his career where he's been really, really good, but it's been a couple of years. Like it's been a while since he's even played consistently. So we don't even
Yeah,
know. You don't even know what you're gonna get. And um so I think it'd be more like he'd be more in the Pirlo Lampard category, maybe a little bit beyond that. But like, there was some curiosity, but not sustain, like it's not like people just kept coming out for them. And
yeah,
I
like
think
someone
that
like
would be
Zlatan. I think Zlatan's good. Zlatan was a lot of fun, but Zlatan didn't sell a lot of tickets. I don't think. Like they still played at the Home Depot Center every week. They
right.
barely made the playoffs when he was here.
I mean,
It
I
was
think
not
this is what we've said many times when people say, "Oh, Messi's the blueprint." There's not a blueprint. There's nobody like him. There's nobody
right.
else.
Just like with
And so,
Beckham, every now and then there's someone that can move the needle, but it's very rare. Like Beckham, the
yeah,
reason Beckham moved the needle is because he was part of the Hollywood culture. Like he was
right.
pop famous,
He
so
was
that
a
helped.
very right. Even more so than his player. His
Right,
as a player, he was just an icon. Yeah,
right. And then
and
Messi is just the greatest player of all time, so he's moving it
right.
that way. And then we have to wait for the next greatest player of all time or the
Yeah, we'll
next
see.
movie star / soccer player. It's like
And you never know, like these careers just go different. I mean, Neymar was up there, and then he had a lot of problems and struggled. Like Mbappe was kind of the heir apparent for greatest player. Now the Real Madrid thing is not going super well yet. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, you never know. But yeah, he's not. He ain't it. But there's
Marco
many
Reus on the other
other.
hand.
Marco
Marco Reus on the other
Reus
hand,
is definitely
we have to sell out
moving the
both
needle.
stadiums. The way it works with Marco Reus is you have to go to the Rose Bowl to watch him
He's
play,
gotta,
and then there's
he's
spillover
gotta
tickets
watch
for the
his,
SoFi just to watch him on the live screen there. So he fills
just
two
gotta
stadiums.
watch his language. He just says the F word just too much.
Oh, who
Just gotta.
cares? On local T television. When
Anyway,
I went
I'm
to
getting
Germany,
excited.
yeah.
I'm getting excited about the upcoming MLS season. There seems to be a lot of influx, a lot of good talent coming into the league. Getting a little worried about my
When
team.
is
We
the
haven't heard
when is
anything yet. February
when's the Coachella?
22nd is when we start. Is when we
When's the
start.
Coachella? When do I get to
Oh,
go to
that starts in
Coachella?
a couple weeks. That starts next
Soon,
week.
right?
I think maybe next week,
Coachella.
week after.
Cali International. So I might go to that then. MLS Day 1,
Yeah,
February 5th. Let's see the Pat. When I went, it was like this thing was $20. Don't really went. How I've noticed they're trying to pre-sale me, and I think they've already doubled the price on now. How much is it? Let's see here. Better be $20. How much do they want for me?
It's gotta be.
Yeah, $20 almost even too much. Let's see what they want from me. GA, $31 is what they want. No, $37.
That's too
That's
much.
too much. I mean,
But you got like multiple games.
yeah, you're there for the
or-
day,
yeah,
but
that's-
an MLS game is $25. Why would I pay $35 for a preseason game?
yeah, that's a lot.
It's preseason. It should be pretty
I
close
think
to free,
Bochum
I'd
is
say.
Bochum preseason. I mean, used to be Bochum preseason games used to be free.
I'll probably still go.
know
I had a
if
good
it's,
time. And like I said, you're there all day, get a hot dog. But you have to pay for that separately. So, but it is good. But it is a good way if you're a little bit.
Maybe you can negotiate. Just send them an email. I'll come for 37 if you throw in a hot dog or a ham
I'll
sandwich.
email them back. Email them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a good opportunity to meet the players and take pictures with the coaches. This is very impersonal. It's like all the MLS clubs are there. It's this middle of nowhere soccer field. The hotel's right next to it, and they're just all there walking around. It's like MLS, but it's a Sunday league. It's like Little League soccer MLS because
Right.
the stands are just these metal bleachers, and they're all just right there in front of you. So that part of it is pretty cool. That is kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, I have two big predictions. I don't keep track of these. I should. But my first Bundesliga prediction is Borussia Dortmund will be coached by Urs Fischer by the end of the month.
Okay.
A, and B, San Jose Earthquakes are going to be undefeated all year. They're going to win. It's going to be the best turnaround in MLS history under Il Bruce.
All right. What? Undefeated? I'll take that bet.
Maybe not undefeated.
I mean,
but
they
they'll have the greatest comeback turnaround in MLS history.
I mean, they signed Chicho Arango and Josef Martinez. That is not bad.
Bruce knows this.
They have already upgraded. They've upgraded their roster already pretty dramatically. So I'm not going to even take you on. I mean, undefeated,
not
obviously.
That.
That's crazy. Nobody goes undefeated in MLS ever.
You're right, not undefeated. But San Jose Earthquakes are going to sign Bruce. Like, he should be at a bigger club. He should have gone to Atlanta. Like, San Jose got themselves a coup. And I think this weird little league of ours, it can have as much new splashy players and boo boo ba ba ba. No one knows it like Bruce Arena, okay? It's a weird, he grew up with it. He was there since day one. It's a bonkers league that doesn't exist anywhere else. No one knows the rules. The league is its own little beast, and Bruce Arena knows it like the back of his hand. So believe in Il Bruce, okay? Believe in Bruce. San Jose is going to have themselves an excellent season. That's my big prediction. That's my big Schnitzel prediction.
All right. I like it. I am not gonna take you on.
Before we get out of here,
yeah.
How do you? Let's look at the quick Champions League preview for tomorrow.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Let's do the 5 German games. 1 or 2 of them already eliminated. Leipzig's already gone.
Who cares?
Bologna, Dortmund.
Doesn't matter what happens.
What's going to happen? Bologna and Dortmund. Dortmund's in Italy at Bologna. What's going to happen?
Dortmund are going to win.
Okay, they're going to get it. Leverkusen at Atletico
Yeah, that's
Madrid.
a tough one. I'm going to say they're going to get. It's going to be a tie. Leverkusen
at Bayern at Feyenoord.
Bayern are going to win. One more thing that we didn't really talk about Bayern. The other thing that I wanted to just briefly celebrate, I guess, is the other Bochumer. The other Bochumer. Well,
okay.
I know. I'm feeling optimistic, perhaps. I think Stuttgart has been turning things around. Undaf is back. I think they could be good. But I was going to give a shout out to my man Leon Goretzka, who we both kind of had written off as somebody who was, you were saying, oh, he should just play for Bochum again because he's not gonna. And he got 2 goals this weekend against Bayern, and he is back. He is a starter again under the company. No, he scored for Bayern. He's back. He's back in Bayern's good graces. He's playing the midfield. Him and Kimmich are partying like it's 2019 or whatever. I don't know,
Right, back when they were
2022.
right,
Back
2020.
back when they were, yeah.
When they won the Champions League, I think they were.
So yeah, and I guess I have a soft spot for him for his Bochum Ruhrgebiets roots, and so shout out to Leon Goretzka. Also, somebody I gotta eat my words. I thought he was done at Bayern, but he is not.
No, never count out a guy from the Ruhrgebiet. Never.
That's right. All right, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. We got German midweek games. Leipzig gone. Bayern, I think already through. I think all the other clubs are still up for it, right? Isn't is Stuttgart maybe on the bottom end?
Stuttgart they're on the brink. They definitely need this win.
So we're
If
keeping
they
an eye on
don't,
Stuttgart, but
Yeah.
the other three are safely, not safely, but like Leverkusen, Bayern, and Dortmund seem to be relatively safe.
Well, they're fighting.
Stuttgart.
The three of them all are fighting for the playoff, and Stuttgart is
1 point
fighting
out.
to get in. Yeah.
They're 1 point below our PSV boys. I'm also rooting for our PSV boys to get in there. Machen.
Machen
Oh,
PSV
PSV.
boys.
Machen.